Have you ever been in a relationship that felt, well, less like a partnership and more like some kind of twisted game? A game where you didn't even know the rules and the board kept changing? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on that exact experience. We are going to deconstruct the secret rulebook of the Narcissist's game.
Right off the bat, this idea from our source material just flips the whole script. See, it's not a relationship between two people. It's a game with only one real player, the narcissist. And the victim? They're the prey. The source even mentions that sometimes there's more than one predator. This sets up an incredibly unfair power dynamic from the very first move.
So let's be super clear about our goal here. This isn't about learning how to outsmart the narcissist or beat them at their own game. No, it's about something way more important. It's about finally understanding the playbook, recognizing the moves for what they are, and giving yourself the power to just stop playing, to find the exit and walk right out.
All right, let's get into Phase 1, total control. Before you even realize a game is being played, the narcissist is busy setting the board. And trust me, every single piece is being placed to stack the odds completely against you.
This grab for control happens with a really deliberate three-step strategy. First, they cut you off from everyone. Second, they go to war on your self-worth. And third, they drain you of every resource you have. Let's break down exactly how these moves work.
So step 1 is isolation. They systematically cut you off from your friends, your family, your entire support system. The source calls it a gradual and forcible severing of all your connections. But here's a really fascinating twist our source points out. This awful forced isolation ironically creates a ton of empty time and space. And later on, that space can actually become a hidden opportunity to reflect and start rebuilding yourself.
Okay, next up is the psychological attack. It's just relentless. They put a giant spotlight on every single one of your flaws, real or imagined. And your strengths, the things you're most proud of, oh, they get twisted around and turned into weaknesses. And if that's not enough, they will literally just invent flaws out of thin air and throw them at you, keeping you constantly off balance and questioning your own reality. And the final part of this control phase is hitting you where it hurts, your finances. It's a brutal progression. First, they drain everything you have. Then, they push you into debts you have no way of repaying. And finally, they use that debt as a weapon to intimidate you, trapping you in a constant state of fear and dependency.
This quote just nails the psychological trap of it all. You keep telling yourself, oh, this is just temporary, things will get better. So you make what the source calls foolish sacrifices. You give a little more and a little more. But the thing is, it's designed to never be temporary. The exhaustion is relentless, and this cycle can go on for years, sometimes even decades.
But here's the thing. Even in the most controlled game, eventually something's got to give. And that brings us to Phase 2, the awakening. This is that critical moment when the fog starts to clear, and you begin to realize, wait a minute, this isn't a relationship. This is a game.
You know, it often starts with a question as simple as this one. After giving and giving and giving, you just stop and wonder, how can they be so bold? How can they demand so much? That little moment of questioning their sheer audacity, that's the first spark.
And that spark lights the way to the first real clues. You start to see that the demands are just outrageous. You start to notice what our source calls smart deceptions. All those times they convinced you something was for your benefit when it was really for theirs. You start digging, investigating the things that were hidden, and suddenly, the big picture starts coming into focus.
Once you see the game, you can't unsee it. And that leads right into Phase 3. This is where you stop being a passive pawn on the board. This is where you start changing the rules of the game yourself. It's all about taking back your agency.
And man, does the game change. Look at the contrast here. On the left, you have their game. Endless requests, twisted tricks, constant attacks. But your new game, on the right, it's a direct countermove to everything they do. For every request, you have a boundary. For every trick, you have exposure. And for every attack, you have strategic ignorance and a laser focus on making yourself stronger.
And the most fundamental, game-changing move you can make is setting boundaries. It's about learning that no is a complete sentence. According to our source, this is the very first active step you take to plug that energy drain and start reclaiming your own power. And once you do that, once you set that first boundary, everything shifts. The power dynamic is broken. It's not a one-person show anymore. The game, for the first time, now has two players.
Now, our source also lays out a more advanced strategy. It points out that a narcissist can throw as many as 10 contradictions at you in a single day. So, the advanced move? You stop just defending against their chaos, and you start scattering a little of your own. You use their own weapon of confusion right back at them. Suddenly, you're not a passive target anymore. It's an eye for an eye.
But even playing at this level isn't the real goal, because the only way to truly win is to stop playing. This brings us to the final level, escape. It's about quitting the game. For good. The escape plan starts with a massive internal shift. You cut off their supply line by realizing, deep down, I want nothing from you.
Next, you turn off the faucet completely. No more validation, no more energy, no more resources. The new rule is simple. I will give you nothing. And this is the checkmate move. Total emotional detachment. See, love and hate are both fuel for a narcissist, but indifference, that's poison. You get to a place where you can honestly say, I neither love you nor hate you.
And when you achieve that, your mission becomes crystal clear. It's not about them anymore. It's not about the game. There's only one thought left. I'm just looking for the exit.
I think our source puts this final step so powerfully. Exiting the game isn't just a good idea, it's an inevitability. It's an obligatory act of self-preservation. It's your duty to protect yourself, because your own self is a trust that you and only you are responsible for.
So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. What does it really mean to finally exit the maze? It's more than just leaving a person. It's about stepping out of a world where love is a game and connection is a strategy. It's about reclaiming the truth that you were never a pawn in the first place. What does that kind of freedom really look like?